special guest speakers today, Rebecca and Rachel, and I'm going to interview them. So, the first question is, what is your favourite subject at school? Would you ask first?
My favourite subject at school is maths.
Very nice. And yours?
My favourite subject at school is also math.
Wow, we've got some math whizzes here. Very, very nice. Okay, the second question is, what would you like your career to be when you finish school?
A soccer player.
Very nice. I can see that. I see that. And what would yours be?
I would like to be a teacher.
Wonderful. Do you know if you want primary or high school, or just any?
Any.
Any. Very, very nice. Okay, our next question is, what do you guys do on your weekends?
On Saturday I go to church and I sometimes go for walks and bike rides.
Lovely. Very nice. And what do you do?
I also go to church and sometimes we get to watch a movie.
Very nice. That's wonderful. And the last question is, what is your favourite Bible character and why?
It's probably David because he trusted God and had faith in him and he killed Goliath, who was much bigger than him.
And that was all because God helped him, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my favourites as well. And how about you, Rachel?
I like Daniel because he had faith in God that he would save him from the lion's den.
Yeah, very good. Oh, thank you so much for coming, guys, today.
Welcome to chapel, everyone. Today I wanted to tell you one of my favourite miracle stories about a boy named Ricardo Caca. Ricardo Caca moved to a place called Sao Paulo in Brazil when he was 8. He began to play a well-known game called soccer. He had always loved to play soccer, so he joined a junior team for Sao Paulo in 2000. While they were in the middle of a game, Ricardo had received a yellow card. He was suspended for the following game, so he took that time to visit his grandparents. While he was visiting, he, his parents, brother and grandparents went to go to a water park. Ricardo was sliding down a water slide when he accidentally hit his head on the bottom of the pool. At the time, poor Ricardo had no idea what had happened and had come out of the pool with a strong headache. His brother, who had come down the slide right after him, had seen that he was bleeding and convinced him to go get an x-ray. He looked fine on the x-ray, so he just got a few stitches and left. Ricardo went to soccer practice on Monday and Tuesday, but on Tuesday he couldn't bear the pain anymore, so he went to get another x-ray. He ended up fracturing his 6th vertebrae. Everyone told him that he was lucky because he could have been paralyzed and would never have been able to play soccer again. He believes that God was protecting his neck from the very time he went back to train. Ricardo says that he needs Jesus every day of his life. Jesus tells all of us that in the Bible, without him, we can do anything. He has a gift and capacity today to play soccer because God gave it to him.
I want to share a family story with you. My great-grandfather William Leyland met my great-grandmother Lillian Bagshaw. They fell in love. But World War II was beginning. They married quickly because my great-grandfather knew that he had to go to war. 2 days after he was married, he was sent to go to Egypt to fight. While he was in war, they were exchanging letters. But one day, my great-grandmother wasn't receiving any letters, and it continued for 3 years. Sometimes she couldn't help thinking maybe he was not alive, but she still had a hope and faith in God. My great-grandmother was praying and reading the Bible verse, Psalms 46:10, every single day. Be still and know that I am God. The Second World War finished in 1945, and my great-grandmother watched as many soldiers came home. She was wondering if he was still alive. One day, when my grandmother was cleaning the window, she saw the reflection on a window. That was her husband, my great-grandfather. He returned home. She never gave up the hope that God will send her husband back home alive and safe. I believe this was a miracle sent by God. We shouldn't give up hope and should have faith in Jesus even when we feel sad, frustrated, or discouraged.
Do you ever get hungry? I do, of course. When it is breakfast or lunch or dinner or even any time of the day, it is a great time for a meal and a snack. Oh goodness, there isn't enough of my lunch to share with you guys. Let's see. Yep, my lunch is just way too small to share with all of you. Hang on, this reminds me of a miracle that happened in the Bible. Jesus feeding the 5,000. Did you know that Jesus feeding in the 5,000 is in all 4 Gospels? Yep, Matthew chapter 14, verses 13 to 21, Mark 6, Luke 9, and John chapter 6, verse 1 to 14. He fed 5,000 men, but for some reason they didn't count the women. If you did count the women and the children, there would be around 1,500 to 2,000 people. Anyway, once Jesus starts teaching and healing people, so many other people are interested and join to listen and watch. Jesus and the people happened to lose track of time. All day long, the people couldn't stop listening to Jesus. They wanted to hear everything he had to say, and people were getting hungry.
I'll finish the rest of the story for you. Soon it was time to eat. The disciples went to Jesus and said, "It is getting late and we are hungry. Send the people away so that we can go and get something to eat." Jesus answered, "They don't need to go away." Jesus said, "You feed them." "Feed them? How can we feed them? We don't have any food with us," said the disciples. The disciples had been asking people in the crowd if they had any food. He found one boy who had brought his lunch. The boy did not have much food. He only had 2 small fish and 5 small loaves of barley bread. Jesus told the disciples to bring him the loaves and fish, and he said, "Divide all of the people into groups of 50 and tell them to sit down on the grass." Soon the whole crowd was divided into small groups. Then Jesus did a wonderful thing. He prayed to God to thank him for the food, and then he began handing bread and fish to people. Jesus began with only 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, but every time he handed it to someone, more bread and fish would appear. If I were to share my snack with you today, there might be enough for each of you to have one tiny bite. But when Jesus blessed the loaves and fish, the Bible says that everyone ate until they were full. The breads just kept multiplying and keep on multiplying. Wait, that's not all. After they had eaten until they were full, they gathered up the leftovers, and there were 12 baskets full. Can you imagine taking my snack that I just showed you before, the 5 loaves and 2 cereal bars, and feeding the whole school and still having food left over? No human being could do a miracle like that. Only Jesus could. Jesus was powerful enough to take care of a whole crowd of people. Jesus is powerful enough to take care of you and me. What can we learn from this Bible lesson today? We learned that when we give what we have to God, He can take it, bless it, and do more than we could ever imagine. Even though we may not have very much, little becomes much when it is placed in God's hands. God is a God of miracles. He provides what we need.
We brought our suitcases in today to show that God provides for us. God provided the pigs.
God provides the lions.
God provides elephants.
God provides the cows.
God even provides big umbrellas to keep us from the rain.
And another umbrella.
He also provides us chairs to sit on so we don't get tired.
And same for me.
God provides us rabbits.
God provides us dogs.
God's good at miracles.
Thank you for sharing with us, Rebecca and Rachel.
Stories of the Bible. Jesus feeds the 5,000. This is Jesus,
Heyo!
who is the Son of God and the Savior of the world. While Jesus was on earth, he taught everyone about God's love. He did many miracles and healed people of their sickness. A huge crowd kept following him wherever he went because they saw his miraculous signs as he healed the sick. crowd started to gather around Jesus, there were 5,000 men and many more women and children. Turning to Philip, he asked,
Hey, Philip!
"Where can we buy bread to feed all these people?" You see, Jesus was testing Philip, for he already knew what he was going to do. Philip replied, "Even if we worked for months, we wouldn't have enough money to feed them."
Hey, I got an idea.
Then Andrew spoke up. "There's a young boy here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good is that with this huge crowd?" Jesus said, "Tell everyone to sit down."
Right, everyone, sit down.
Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks to God, and gave them to the people.
Here you go.
Afterward, he did the same with the fish. And they all ate as much as they wanted.
Want some more? I'm all good, thanks.
After everyone was full, Jesus told his disciples, "Now gather the leftovers, so that nothing is wasted."
You got it.
So they picked up the pieces and filled 12 baskets with scraps, left by the people who had eaten from the 5 barley loaves and 2 fish.
Today we're going to end on a little bit of a trivia game just to see if you were listening in that story. So write them down and we'll see if your answers are correct. The first question is, how many men did Jesus feed? Either 2, 2,500, 7 or 5,000. You just have to write down your answer. How many men did Jesus feed? Okay, the next question is, what book of the Bible is this story found in? Is it in Matthew and Mark? Is it Luke and John? Is it all the Gospels, or is it Matthew and John? What book of the Bible is this story found in? Hopefully you've written down your answer. Okay, the next question is, the boy who bought his lunch had 2 loaves and 5 fish, or 5 loaves and 2 fish, or 7 loaves and 5 fish, or 20 chocolate M&Ms? Just have to write down your answer. The boy who bought his lunch had. Okay, the next question is, the disciples were asked to divide the people into groups of 50, 25, 100, or 75. What do you guys think? Disciples were asked to divide the people into groups of, and write down your answer. Okay, our second last question is, how many baskets of food were left over? Was it 5? Was it 10? Was it 12 or 17? How many baskets of food were left over? And our last question is, can God perform miracles even today? The answer is either no, only a long time ago, maybe, or yes, with a big exclamation mark. Okay, here we're going to have our answers. So if you're ready, have a look at your sheet of paper and see if you got them right. The first question is, how many men did Jesus feed? It was 5,000, so it was D. I hope you got that right. The next answer was all of the Gospels. So what book of the Bible is this story found? All the Gospels, as Rachel said. The boy who bought his lunch had 5 loaves and 2 fish. Our third last answer is 50. So the disciples were asked to divide the people into groups of what? And it was 50. Our second last answer, how many baskets of food were left over? It was 12. And the last one, can God perform miracles even today? Yes, he sure can. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you have a wonderful week.